Is Jack McLean. I am your host, and tonight my guest is Harry Sheezel. Harry is one of the most recognised upcoming AFL players in the 2022 draft. Not only an elite football player, he loves hanging out with his family and friends and playing golf. His local football club is the Ajax Football Club. NAB League is the Sandringham Dragons, and he goes for the Hawthorn Football Club. So really looking forward to this chat. If you have any questions for Harry, feel free to comment them in the comment section below on our YouTube channel. Before we start this episode, for those new to our podcast, our mission here at Prepare Like a Pro is to empower aspiring athletes and staff, and also to strengthen the AFL community. If you like the show, please show support by following us on Instagram and subscribing to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Good to see you, Harry. Thanks for jumping on, mate.
Thanks for having me on.
Representing as well. The hoodie's looking good.
Yeah, got to represent. Caught the jumper, so yeah, got to wear it.
Very good. I was training Dion, who's an under 15 Ajax player, and he was talking you up. You probably wouldn't know of him yet, but he's another Ajax player that's looking up to you, mate, trying to follow your footsteps. So no doubt we'll get into the Ajax Football Club at some stage. But let's dive into the beginning of your football career. At what age did you discover that you were going to take it pretty seriously and want to become a professional player?
Probably started very young. Since I was really young, I was kicking that. I always dreamed about playing high level footy and that. But it probably became a real realization, probably under 14s, under 15s, when I started playing interleague, playing good footy there. It kind of transformed into it being an internal goal for me and something that I really work towards. Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously a common dream for Melbourne footballers growing up, but you mentioned once you started making that interleague team. So did you start growing in confidence, you think, at 14, 15 when you started getting selected in rep sides?
Yeah, definitely. And also playing well at that level gives you a lot of confidence, and that's probably the highest level you can play at that age. So if you're playing well, that's obviously giving you a lot of confidence to work harder as well off the track, to put the extra work in, to keep staying at the top.
And how did that shift for you mentally? Did you still have fun with the game when you started putting in extra work and started seeing it as a bit of a career and started having performance goals? Did that change the fun factor, or you still have lots of fun playing footy?
The fun factor's always got to be there. I love my footy, everything about it, even the training. Sometimes it gets hard, but you still got to enjoy everything. Because I think once you forget that, you probably should give it up. I think fun's the main thing.
Yeah, on that's a good point. So it's obviously something that you value, the enjoyment factor. When times are going tough, maybe you have a little niggle injury, you can't play, or your form's not where you want it to be, or perhaps you're in pre-season, like you said, and sometimes you're just getting through the grind of doing lots of strength and conditioning and extra skills. What do you lean towards to bump up the fun and the enjoyment factor?
Probably looking forward to the season, knowing that you're working towards playing well, and you know that if you do play well, you'll enjoy yourself more. That mind when you're training hard, that you're doing it for a reason and a purpose.
Yeah. And along your journey, who have been some strong influences, mentors, if you like?
My dad was probably the first one. He got me into footy. We went to the park a lot growing up. He used to drill balls into me. He probably started my footy journey for me. And along the way, Dave Butterfin, who I did a bit of strength and conditioning work with a couple of years back. He was great for me, not just about strength and conditioning, but also the mental side of stuff, just to how to deal with things on field. Just like me, he taught me a lot of mental cues. And then obviously the gym work and speed work as well. And then, at Dragons, Jackson Cornberg, who's probably listening now. So, Jacko, g'day. He was really big for me in my, when I joined Sandy, my last few years. Just how much, care he put into all his players. And, we still keep in contact. He's up on the Gold Coast now. And, he was really big for my development, I guess, into a more elite level.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And let's go back into a little more detail with Dave and Jackson. So how did you come across David Butterford?
Dad's mate knew Butters, so got in contact with him. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then you would catch up Would that be over the phone? Would it be face to face? How did your relationship go with Butters?
Session. So we used to go to the park and do a lot of speed drills, speed endurance drills. And then he also gave me gym programs, nutrition plans, and yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Wow. Okay. So it sounds like, yeah, you got used to living the elite lifestyle at a pretty young age. For those listening in that haven't had access to that resource yet, or perhaps they're working towards getting into an elite program and having that resource, what performance benefits did you feel with your football when you started looking into things like nutrition? You mentioned doing some mental skills and mindset training, and then obviously doing some work in the gym and the field. So I started putting in work behind the scenes. What did you notice on game day?
Reward from that. I think I just took my game to the next level, just like even like a few percent, just to get that like extra edge compared to everyone else who probably wasn't putting in the same work.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think confidence is a big thing that comes out of training hard. You know, you've put in the work. So when you go there game day, you feel confident that you are probably going to do better than those that haven't.
Yep.
So yeah, just that inner belief, and obviously your body's up to that because you've put in the work.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Thanks for that insight. Into your mindset and your approach. There's a couple of questions that have come through, so I'll go off the script for a second and answer. You can answer your fans. So one's written in from YouTube. NBA fan is his title. Hi, Harry. How do you feel about going into state in the draft, particularly to a successful big club like West Coast, if you were going to pick number 2? Obviously, he's a West Coast fan, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm not sure about like West Coast and that. It's probably a bit far out, but yeah, I'm happy to go interstate. I'll go anywhere to play footy. I love my footy, and I think I'm pretty independent that I'd be fine interstate.
No doubt. And he's followed on from there saying you're considered a hybrid mid-forward by the draft experts. Would you like to be eventually a pure midfielder or more a pure forward, or do you like being a hybrid of the two?
I think the good thing about my game is I can be both. I can either be a mixture of the two, purely forward, which I've done a lot like the last few years in the Dragons, and then yeah, my whole junior career I played pure midfield. So I think I can impact like wherever I play, maybe even off a halfback or something. But yeah, I'm not really sure what will happen down the road, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm happy to play anywhere.
Yeah, it's just the beginning, hey? Plenty to look forward to. And then on Instagram, it doesn't actually say who's written these, but your favourite exercise, I imagine that would be in the gym. What's your favourite gym exercise? Cable flies, yeah, get the chest going. Yeah. What about your favourite day of the week? Yeah. This one was also sent through via Instagram stories. Alicia, how do you go about recovering your body when you're feeling a bit fatigued and sore going into a game? What's your favourite recovery methods?
Yeah, I've like put a lot of work into my recovery. We actually got an infrared sauna at home, which has been really big. I've been doing that multiple times a week, which is, flushes the body out and it's really good for the muscles. So I do that post game day and also like before a game, the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I also started getting like massages frequently post games just to make sure the body recovers quickly and I'm ready for like a week of training and then feeling fresh for the game as well.
Yep. We'll quickly go back to your strong influences in your career. So Jackson Kornberg, I believe I wrote that down as it was a strong influence. Take us through exactly how Jackson sort of helped your game to this point.
My under-16s coach at Dragons, and I came in, and then 16s pre-season, and he was probably like the first coach I had at that level, and he really looked after me. And the one thing I learned from Jacko is to give 100% into people, and it's more than just football. So he really cares about the people that he coaches, not just their ability in football.
Mm-hmm.
And he also instilled a lot of belief in me and confidence for me to be the best player I can be.
That's great. What a philosophy to live by, people first. What does that mean to you? Like, how has that transpired in your life over the last couple of years since you've sort of started living that belief?
Well, it just shows me that the more you give out to people and the more like you put effort into them, like they'll probably reciprocate it.
Yep.
And then you're just a more liked person, and people want to hang around you, want to learn off you. And then, he taught me a lot about leadership as well. And also learning from last year, Dragons boys, the leadership group there, and how well connected that group was. I learned a lot from that and tried to implement that this preseason at Dragons and then into this season.
Yep. And on that, Dragons having another strong year. It's been a pretty strong program for the last few years. What would you put that to? Why has Sandringham Dragons been so strong?
I think the resources that we have like an unbelievable setup at RSCA Park. We get like all the St Kilda facilities, the great ground, gym, and also just the staff are unbelievable, how much work they put in, and even like volunteers. It's kind of like already like an elite program. It feels like an AFL club. So I think that's a main contributor, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of players that have been getting drafted. I think the record was broken recently by Sandy.
12, which was enormous.
Yeah, unbelievable. This is another question sent in from YouTube. What's a tip for being a half forward who also plays in the midfield? What's sort of your approach when you're playing that hybrid role?
Yeah, as a forward, I think the main thing I've learned is just to be lively, always be on the move, and never let your defender be comfortable playing on you. Like that, not let them just sit in the spot that they want to sit. Always on the move, always active, and then high work rate, definitely getting up the ground and then working back hard to try and lose your opponent on the way back. That's the main thing for a forward. And then when you do go into the midfield, just to give it 100%, go hard at the contest, be on the move, try and be creative. They're probably the main things.
Fantastic, mate. Love that. That's great. There's some massive points. So working on that being on the move and being agile, that's something that is a strong suit of yours. What have you done to work on that craft and to be able to really strengthen your weapon? What are some of your what focuses when you're at training to improve your agility and your ability to be able to stay on the move?
My agility and just like natural like decision making, and that is probably, it's very natural. Kind of done that my whole junior career, and then I have a lot of confidence with that. And then obviously I've been able to like support that with gym work. Like me and you, we've been doing a bit of that agility stuff and power stuff, lower body stuff recently. And I think, that just supports it. So you can't just be natural ability that gets you through. And
how important is it? You mentioned that it's something that you've had naturally. How important is it to really focus on your strengths?
Yeah, that's probably the main thing I did learn coming into Dragons. They stress like the way it kind of is having really good strengths rather than being okay or just good at everything. So the more like elite strengths that you have and weapons you have, the more that will set you apart from the rest of like the cohort, I guess. Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because that's your assets. That's what's going to set you apart from the rest, and whether that's to get drafted or make a rep side, whatever it might be, they're probably the reasons why the coach puts you in those positions, is because of your strengths and allows you to play your best footy, and you probably enjoy playing that style as well, working to your strengths.
Most appealing for clubs and recruiters for any level, yeah.
Absolutely. And you mentioned work rate. That is something that's so important in the game these days for half forwards, to be able to not only work hard when their team's got the ball, but also, like you mentioned, off the ball too, and run your opponent off your feet. What are some of your favourite ways to get fit more so when you're in the off-season, pre-season? How do you go about your conditioning?
I do a lot of long distance running. So just like 10Ks, 5Ks, just to like, I guess, complement my harder sessions, like my 400s and repeat hundreds and all that. So we have a Dragons program that we get in the pre-season. So I do most of that. And then I complement that with a lot of like longer distance running, just to get, I guess, that extra bit of distance into your legs. And I feel like that helps me like run out games and get the Ks up during games. Yeah.
And flipping into it, no doubt there are some challenges that you've faced in your career. What would be at this point your biggest challenge that you've faced, and And what did you learn from overcoming that challenge?
Yeah, my biggest challenge was probably in interleague under 15s. I didn't make the Div 1 team. I had stress fractures that pre-season going to that year. But yeah, I probably still thought I was probably eligible, like probably should have made that team, the 15 ones. And I was pretty distraught when I didn't. I remember that night going home and crying a bit and a bit confused. But yeah, I remember sending an email to the coach at the time and not saying that I should have, but asking why. And he like probably said that I probably just wasn't up to the level. So yeah, that taught me that you probably, not everything's just gifted to you. It wasn't really a wake up call because I feel like I worked pretty hard even then. It was more just to show you that, yeah, nothing's just handed to you and you can never be like comfortable where you are.
Yeah. And then where has that transpired into who you are today? What would be some things that, how has that sort of helped you, I guess, into who you are today?
Yeah, well, I think that's just like whatever level I get to or whatever I accomplish, to be satisfied with that and acknowledge that, and be grateful for it, to not just take it for granted, because you never know what's going to happen. Maybe that's your best achievement, so may as well appreciate it when it happens.
Yep. And you're a Hawthorn fan. Who's your favourite player growing up, and then who's your favourite current Hawthorn player?
Growing up, definitely Buddy. He's my all-time favourite. I think he's the GOAT for sure. And at the moment, I love all of them. They're really like an exciting group. Jack Scrimshaw probably.
Yep. And Franklin, the best, you reckon? Best of all time?
Talented.
Yeah.
Jim, yeah.
Yeah, he's super entertaining. It's unbelievable the things he can do, that's for sure. Going back, we'll go into in-season focuses, but going back to your off-season, pre-season focus coming into your draft year, for those that might be listening to the podcast recording or even live that are going into their draft year, how did you sort of up the stakes in your pre-season going into this year to ensure that you're well prepared and resilient from injury, but also that you're going to play your best footy?
That season I had stress fractures taught me a lot about my body, and also the way to train, like how to train smart. So I learned from that. I probably was, because I got those stress fractures from overload, I probably was doing too much and just trying to do everything I could. So from that I learned that the less the better, and just train well when you are training, give it your all, and train smart, like not doing it multiple sessions a day, and planning it well, and also focusing on recovery and other little things like Pilates. I've done a lot of that since my back injury, just to stay on top of, like, I guess, that extra little bit of strength. And so yeah, Pilates, and then staying consistent was the main thing this year. Doing multiple gym sessions, like 2 upper body, 2 lower body per week, and then 3 to 4 running sessions, and also a lot of variety to make sure I'm still motivated.
Yeah, it's a great message for young footballers, mate. How you mentioned, like, it's not always more is better. Obviously, you got to put in the work to build your capacity, but like you said, training smart is looking after your long career, which is probably more important. Trying to prevent injuries, because that's never fun. Stretch fractures in your back. When you got that injury at that point, just for those listening in, you said you were overtraining. What did a typical week look like at that stage?
COVID as well, so
a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah, a lot of time on my hands, and sitting down all day probably wasn't great for my back on Zoom. But yeah, I was probably just running every day and just doing the like same hard sessions every day, just back to back. Not on great surfaces either. I was doing a lot of like road running. So yeah, a lot of gym work, probably lifting heavily with not the right technique either. So just, yeah, combination of them just probably put a bit too much stress on it.
Yeah. And then from, being educated, who was helping you along the way in terms of Pilates is going to help strengthen your core, and then also the fact that, running on certain surfaces isn't the greatest for the joints in your body. So who was sort of guiding you and giving you this sort of feedback during that rehab phase?
I was really good. David Francis. He's like an ex-Collingwood physio. He was really knowledgeable on it, and I'd see him regularly for treatment, and then also advice on how to progress my training slowly, and get back to where I needed to be, and then they also have someone there who is really experienced on Pilates. So he recommended me to him, and I did a bit of technique work with him as well. So yeah, they were great.
Fantastic. And then is it something that you continually manage? Is there exercises that you have to do regularly with your back, or is it something that's pretty good now?
It's pretty good now. I think they just always stay around, but it's just managing the pain and that. But I haven't had any issues with it like in the last couple of years, thankfully. Yeah. So what was the second half of the question? Sorry.
No, that was it. That was it, mate. Fantastic. That's great. So, all right, well, going back into in-season then, what does a typical week look like for you? We'll start with, let's say, a Monday. What's your key focus on a Monday? And then just briefly take us through each day leading into a Saturday game, for example.
Yeah, so on a Monday at Dragons, we do a recovery and review session. So Monday afternoon, we'll probably get there. We have really good facilities, like I said before. So we have like a pool at St Kilda where we go and do a bit of work in there. There's also a hydro pool, which is good for recovery. And then we do like some mobility stuff, and then we do our review of the game.
Mm-hmm.
On Saturday, I'll probably do a little jog on the Monday just to flush the legs out a bit. Probably like a couple K either before training or at training when I get there.
Okay, so that's sort of self-driven. That's something that you add in that you like personally yourself?
Like sometimes a 5K as well, just to make sure I'm staying on top of my fitness. Because I feel like during the year, I sometimes lose that fitness. So I like doing an extra run just to stay on top of it outside of training.
And for those listening in, why do you choose to do that on Monday? Just take us through your approach.
I'm probably not as sore the day after a game if it's a Saturday game.
Yep.
And it's also good for the legs, I think, if I am it's probably like the first thing I do post game, just to get the legs moving.
So it actually helps you for training that week. And
because I'm not just kind of like removes a bit of the soreness and gets me moving again. Before Tuesday main session, we do Tuesday, Thursday at Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the main sessions, and then Wednesday I try and do a lower body workout. We start doing your program now since I've seen you, either like with you or at home in the gym.
Yep.
Thursday main training again, and then Friday, if we're playing Saturday again, I'll probably do like a light weight session, upper body session, and a bit of a bike or something just to get moving.
Yes, there's a fair bit of work when you throw in year 12, isn't there?
Yeah, it's good balance though. I've kind of improved on that. At the start of the year, I probably found it a bit hard to keep the balance, but now I've got the hang of it, I think.
Yeah, and what are some things that have helped with balance? Are you someone that likes to plan your week? Are you a scheduling person, or is it more just what are some of the things that you like to do to make sure that you don't feel overwhelmed, that you feel on top of all the things that are on your plate?
I don't think scheduling really works for me. I just kind of go with the flow, because a lot can change. So depending on the day, depending what schoolwork I have, and the time I have and how my body's feeling, I'll kind of decide what I'm going to do depending on how I'm feeling, and I just try and get as much schoolwork done as possible in the time I have. And if I'm feeling my body's feeling good, I can just do like a light session.
Yep. We'll go back to the fans. I'll go to the YouTube to start with. Darcy Kelson's written in, what's Harry's game routine, like a warm up before a game? Obviously you've got your team structures and preparation. Is there anything that you do outside of that to get yourself up for the game, both mentally as well as physically?
Once I get to the ground, it's probably I just go out on the ground, probably have a few like little pot shots at goal, then come back into the rooms, and we have our team meetings usually like an hour before the game.
Mm-hmm.
So right before that, I'll do like a little roll. I roll at home actually, but then I'll get there and I'll do my band work. So just like that lower body, just similar to what we do in the gym.
Bit of activation.
Some glute bridges, and then I do some squats and then some power squats just to get feeling a bit powerful. And then right before the team meeting, I do like a bit of like a plank, just to get the abs and the core turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few push-ups to get the upper body going, and then team meeting, and then we do our warm up on the ground.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, mate. That's a great insight for footballers listening in. So, yeah, it's, on that, at what point in your footy career did you start adding in your own preparation? Is that something that you've just started, or have you been doing that for a couple of years? And yeah, talk us through that.
For a couple of years, I've always been kind of obsessed with trying to find the best way to, I guess, get my body ready and get mentally ready for a game, and yeah, feeling my best. And I try and, if ever I play a good game, I try and repeat what I did prior. Yeah, so not superstitions, but yeah, I just try and repeat the experience, getting a bit of a routine.
Yep. Yeah, body loves routine. That's for anyone listening in, that it just goes to show that by doing, it's almost like you're approaching your training by the sounds of it. By just doing what everyone else does, you're probably going to sit in the same place where if you can find an edge, it's by finding these extra things that are going to give you a competitive edge. So it makes a lot of sense. Noah Dowie on Instagram has written, what's your favourite pre-game meal? Do you have a set meal that you eat, or does it change?
The day before, I'll have pasta for lunch. Usually people do it for dinner, but I do it for lunch. And then the night before a game, I usually have chicken and rice, and then a protein shake as well.
And why did you? Yeah, you mentioned that it is pretty typical. The footballers pasta the night before. Why do you like having it for lunch and then having rice and chicken the night before?
Sure, I did it a while ago and I just kept it. I think maybe pasta was probably a bit too much the night before, so I probably did it the day before. And then chicken's a bit of protein as well, which is good for the body. And as well as with some rice, which is carbs as well. So I'm still getting the carbs in. So I think that's a good balance.
Yeah, 100%. If any, and I mean, I'm not a sports dietitian, so you'd want to consult with the dietitian, but pasta can be quite heavy on your digestive system for those listening in. So make sure you listen to your body. The body's pretty intelligent, giving you feedback. And I reckon I'm backing your intuition there, Harry. I reckon you're onto something there, mate. Having the
I don't know any dietitians, but yeah, I've just done that. I think it works best for my body.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And rice is a lot easier to metabolize, so to do that while you're at rest at night time, hopefully it's going to allow you to have a quality night's sleep as well. So love that. Go a couple more from Instagram. There's a bit of tanning stuff going on, so a bit of banter from the boys.
Are they the Dragon Boys?
I'm not sure, but just people wanting some tanning tips.
Yeah, they think I use tanning lotion. They're just salty.
One person, Corey Berman's written in, do you prefer beep test or a yo-yo in mid test?
I'm a yo-yo guy. I actually like them both. They're probably like suited to me because I think I use a bit of agility to get a bit of an edge. To get that turn going, I try and turn really quickly, and yeah, that helps me and saves a bit of energy as well. Yep.
This one's a good one. So Dos Toss Pod, so it might be another podcast. Harry, you seem quite composed in the media on AFL 360. What do you put that down to? Do you know this person? Yeah?
It's a podcast that they started and I was actually on at the start.
Very good. Shout out.
Yeah, so they probably want me to say them, but definitely not.
Fair enough. We'll delete them off the Instagram then. All right, we'll go back to the real deal. So going back into your football preparation, are there any key areas on game day that you like to do to reset? So maybe the first quarter didn't quite go to plan for the team, and as an individual, you mentioned leadership. What are some things that you like to do to reset and refocus and ensure that the team, as well as yourself individually, are going to perform well in the second quarter, or it could be first half going to third quarter?
Dave Butterfin taught me a lot about that. If it's not going your way, how to reset mentally. Mm-hmm. So yeah, whenever I get a chance to just like sink in, like sink what's happened in, and process it, I try and reset if it's not going my way. And say restart, there's still time left, and I can still impact. Yep. So yeah, that's really helped me, especially this year. If stuff hasn't gone my way or games haven't gone my way, I think I've still been able to do like a few things that have like shown my talent, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, also leadership wise, just like getting around others, making sure they're feeling good, they're happy with how they're playing, and then I feel like if you put effort into others, it might turn for you.
No, I love that. Great mindset, mate. Like you said at the very start of the podcast, that give first mentality and how that gives back. So I think if every player thinks that way, the team's going to be in a pretty good place. And no doubt that's probably a big factor why Sandy Dragons are going so well with leaders like yourself involved. Just leaning in a little bit more into that system that Butters taught you and that you've been practicing in resetting in games. I think it's a really important thing for developing footballers to start practicing this aspect, because the physical side's talked about a lot and the physical side probably hasn't changed that much, but I think the sports psychology is something that is growing a lot at the top level, and it's starting to drip feed all the way through into our sport, which is great. You mentioned processing what's going on in the game and then focusing on how to make an impact. Can you talk a little bit more detail? When you're processing that, are you sitting in the rooms? Is it happening while you're actually in the game, when you're not got the ball, but maybe on the bench, or when you're a little bit of a play away from the game? Talk us through, how do you process in the game of football?
Just whenever I have a bit of time to myself, like if the ball's down the other end, or it is like quarter time or half time, and just whenever it comes to mind, really, like whenever I think about it, that probably tells me that I'm probably not playing that well or not doing what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just reset. And just like, I think someone taught me recently that if you just like fake it till you make it, do the things that you do when you are playing well. Just try and do them, and then hopefully it turns for you.
Yeah. And then when you want to make an impact, what part of your game are you focusing on?
Thanks. Back yourself in. Have confidence that you are able to have a good game and impact positively. So, yeah.
No, very good. Awesome, mate. That's very good. We'll move into the personal side of the podcast, so they get to know Harry's side. So with this one, you don't have to have a life motto or a quote, but do you have a favourite inspirational quote or life motto that you like to live by? No.
Work hard.
Yep. And what about
hard work pays off? That's the one. Got that hung up in my room. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Nice, mate. And then let's just say in your work life, so when you're at training in the football mode, whether it be game day, at training, in the gym, recovery, whatever it might be, what are your pet peeves? What can fire you up? Yeah, just is there anything? It might be a staff member, a player. Is there anything that that is a pet peeve of yours?
And people aren't like giving it their all, or focusing or anything. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So they're not giving. I guess that goes back to your quote. They're not putting in the work and effort. Yep. Favorite way to spend your day off?
Probably golf. It's a bit hard with school and footy this year, but whenever I get the time, I try and play. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a driving range, or do you go with mates and have a?
9 or 18. That's probably better.
Yep. And what about our favourite holiday destination worldwide? Yep.
Probably cop a bit because of my tan there, but no. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, mate. Well, we're at the final section of the podcast. If anyone's got any final questions for Harry, feel free to send them through. But thanks heaps for jumping on, mate. What are you most excited about for 2022? I could probably guess the answer, but take us through what's on the horizon for you. There's a fair bit.
Well, definitely the long-term goal is to hopefully get drafted as high as I can, and then also finish school and do pretty well there. And then they're the long-term goals, but try not to focus too hard on them. Just playing it week by week, game by game, and kind of like every school thing I have, like sack by sack. So just focusing week by week and giving it my all every game, because far ahead you get a bit distracted.
Yep. Yeah, the cliche in footy, hey, week by week. Yeah.
That's it.
Now we've been doing our sessions at Schwartz Fitness, and since you've been coming in, I've definitely got the feeling of how big of an impact you've made on the Ajax Football Club. Talk us through Ajax for those that aren't aware, and talk us through how long you've played there for, and then your connection with the club to this day. I know you've got your commitments to Sandy, obviously in Vic Metro, but what does Ajax mean to you?
So Ajax is like the local Jewish club here in like Melbourne. They're part of like the SMJFL. So I played there from under 9s, bottom age, till through to 16s until I got into Dragons. And yeah, it meant a lot for my development. Played with all my mates from school there. And yeah, the Jewish community is like such a strong community, and like the Ajax Football Club's like another way to like people just get around each other. Everyone's so supportive of each other. The Jewish community does love their footy. So yeah, at school as well, like I played with most of my schoolmates. So yeah, it was kind of just like a really fun time. I remember playing there. And yeah, I played senior footy at Ajax last year.
All right.
With like a lot of people I knew in the community, and my cousin as well. So yeah, just to be able to, I guess, enjoy my footy as well with the people that I know, and such a strong community was big for my development, and yeah, just made me love footy.
Fantastic. Well said, mate. And for the rest of the year for you, obviously you've got year 12, which you mentioned you're putting some good energy and time into that. But from a football perspective, obviously you've got there's some big games ahead, and then you've also got the combine. So leading up to the draft, how do you go about getting that balance right between performing, like you said, week after week with games, and then also having the combine, I guess, dangling over your head as well?
Like the thing, I want to stay pretty consistent with my training. Mm-hmm. Not just focusing on like the games and recovering from that, but also making sure I have a good base fitness, and I'm staying on top of my gym work. So then when the draft combine does come around, I'm already prepared to do like that block of training that we'll probably do together. So yeah, just not starting too low, and having like a strong base that I can then elevate myself even more.
Yep. It's a great approach, mate, because obviously it's not just setting yourself up for this year, but also, your first, hopefully, no doubt, your first AFL pre-season, where the workload's going to go from, semi football to full-time footy. So it's great that you're doing all these extra things that no doubt will pay dividends for next year. Well, thank you so much for jumping on, mate, and sharing with us some insights. I'm a strong believer that success leaves clues, and you've dropped some clues all the way through from minute one, mate, for developing footballers. So, thanks for jumping on and spending some time on the podcast. For those interested to ask some questions or follow your football journey, where's the best place to get in contact, mate?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we'll add the link in the show notes for those listening in on the podcast. And thanks again, mate, for jumping on, and looking forward to, I think, our next gym sessions next week. So make sure you have a great game this weekend, mate.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Awesome. And for everyone that's tuned in, thanks for jumping on. Our next Prepare Like a Pro live chat show will be this Friday at 8:30 p.m. with Justin Crowe, who's the high performance manager at Melbourne Victory. So that's this Friday at 8:30.